Good morning, everyone. This is the regular meeting of the Wilson County Commissioners Court. Today's date is Monday, March 25th, 2024. Let the minutes reflect we have a quorum. Before we begin, we're going to have a prayer, and then we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Lord, we thank you for the rain that the community has had the last couple of weeks. We need more. We ask that you keep Constable Talley's in your prayers and thoughts for everybody in the community as he recovers from his surgery. We also ask that you keep Constable Guzman's family in your prayers, all our first responders, and especially our law enforcement officers who keep us safe. In your son's name we pray, amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Okay, we have several public comments. For those that have signed up, we're gonna wait till we get to that subject matter, and then we can do it then. I'll have your names. We have certificates and completions of awards. Yeah, we do have a quorum. Just to let you know that Commissioner Martin's going to be out for this meeting as well as the next one. We have certificate of completion for county budgeting for Commissioner King. Another one for, I'm not sure what that one's about. You have 16 hours from,
That was from the last,
in conjunction with the.
66th annual.
Okay, 66th annual. Another one for Commissioner King. Well, you've been busy in school.
That was last year's.
Okay. For provisions of Article 81.0025 of the Texas Local Government Code. Commissioner Aiken, also from the VG Young School. He completed 14 hours. Another same Article 81.0025 for Commissioner Aiken. Commissioner Martin attending his administrative training for county budgeting and also for the hours that he had at the VG Young School for County Commissioners Court. We have a certificate here for Nikki Storr. She has completed spring into summer planning using a digital library for reading access, activities, and advancement for all. Another one for Nikki Storr for using digital books to engage families beyond school hours. Sherry Mante for igniting summer learning with STEAM. Nikki Storr again for the Read Woke Challenge, Ignite Curiosity, Inspire Empathy, and Create Community. Nikki Storr again for Stop Summer Slide for Literacy, tips for teachers to engage families. We have our Christina Moots completed her Certificate of Membership County Investment Academy. Another one for Ms. Moots, a continuing education certificate of compliance from the County Treasurer Association of Texas. And we have Mr. Don Fay has completed his Open Meetings Act. You're the first one, Mr. Fay, out of the group, so we'll look see who else completed that. Thank you. Put that in the minutes. Okay, we've moved to agenda item number 5. We had Brad Valderrama to present the delinquent tax collection report for Wilson County. Mr. Valderrama, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for letting us be here. For those of you that I haven't met, my name is Brad Valderrama. I'm an attorney and a partner with Linebarger. Been with the firm 15 years, so I'm not new, nor am I Ronald, nor am I Jeff. But I've been working pretty closely with Don here since last year. But thank you for letting me be here for the report. May I give you a copy of the report?
Sure.
Apologize.
Morning, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
report for the year 2023. Page 5 is sort of a roadmap of where I'm going to be going. I'll try and be direct and to the point because it's a lot of numbers, so that's not always a lot of fun. On page 6 is sort of the beginning of every year for us. It's our what we call mass mailings. Now, these are mass mailings in volume, but it's not mass mailing in the type of accounts that we mail on, because only eligible accounts receive letters from us. So some of these are legally required from the tax code. Some of these are, as soon as we get the turnover, the first ones that we mail out, and then others will follow up. But if someone is involved in a appraisal district dispute, they don't get a letter. If they're in over 65 exemptions, 100% vet exemptions, those do not receive any communications from us because they're entitled to that by law. Behind that, you'll see some samples of the letters that we send, letting them know that at some point, an additional collection fee will be attached to the taxes. Jump to page 15, the Texas Homeowner Assistance Fund Program. This was managed by the TDHCA in Austin, and this program is now closed. It closed in September last year. What it was federal money that was eligible for people to apply to if they were the owner of the home, and if they had a COVID-related financial hardship. It allowed for everything from taxes, mortgage payments, even homeowners association fees. So we mailed out a lot of these notices letting people know that they were entitled to this, and if they were, to apply for it. They closed the applications in September. Some may still be being processed, I don't know, because they kind of come in randomly. But this was a big help. We will see later in the report. I've got a report on how much we did actually collect from that program. Page 17 is what we consider our targeted mailing. These majority are for litigation, and they go up monthly. And it's as you can see, it's a status of litigation. So it could be a step for trial. It could be a court cost only if they pay the taxes, and we're just waiting on getting the court costs paid for. It could be order of non-suit, or it could even be a dismissal when we get full payment. And last year we mailed out just under 2,000, 1,991 were mailed. Our taxpayer assistance on page 18. This is really an important part of our collection process because we want contact with the taxpayer. We want them to call us. We want to talk to them. Every time we have an opportunity to talk with the taxpayers, it's an opportunity for us to resolve problems. We can ask questions. We can ask questions about errors, updated addresses, where people are, who's involved, who's interested, stuff like that. And it's very much a two-way conversation. We're not just telling them pay and hang up. This is a conversation that we want to have. And you can see last year, there was almost 3,400 of these contacts with the taxpayer. These are mostly outbound. Now, on the next page, 18, you'll see the inbound correspondence. Now, these are equally as important because if someone's calling us, they're not ignoring the taxes. They're not putting their head in the sand. They want to know what's going on. That's a good indication that there's probably going to be an opportunity to work with them to get something done, either a payment plan, or maybe they're going to sell the property or whatever. But it puts us on notice and lets us know what we're kind of looking at on getting these collected. And it's a good opportunity for us to talk to them, discuss their options. Are they eligible for a home, the homeowner's assistance fund? Are they eligible for a homestead? Are they eligible for an over 65? And we provide that information every time we have a chance. Next page, the walk-ins. We actually have 2 dedicated offices for our walk-ins. We have bilingual staff that's there to help them. It's good to have that one-on-one FaceTime with them, and if they show up again, that's another pretty strong indication they're going to try and get this resolved. So we encourage it. Some people come in monthly for their payments, drop it off, get an update. We encourage that. And last year we had 108 visits. Page 21, payment arrangements are probably the most common method of resolving delinquent taxes. They can get on an official payment arrangement with the tax office. The tax office is going to have a down payment requirement. They'll have them sign a contract, and they have to stick to that payment arrangement. If they do that before we file a suit, we won't file a suit. If they get on the payment arrangement after a suit has already been filed, we're still allowed to proceed with the suit, but we do not foreclose the judgment. If they can't afford to get on a payment arrangement with the tax office, they can make payments with us. And what we'll do is usually do it on a 30-day increment. So make a payment, we'll place the case on hold, come back, make another payment, and we'll keep it on hold. Ideally, sometimes people are trying to get the balance down so that they can afford the down payment with the tax office and get on an official payment arrangement, and we'll work with them like that. And we just monitor it every month, make sure it's being paid. Page 22, research, very important for what we do. It's important that we have as many interested, if not all interested parties in the tax suit, because the goal is to have the best judgment that we can have should it come to that. So we've got dedicated people that's all they do, is they research title, they research ownership, they research addresses. The good part about this is that whenever we do find new information, we share it with the appraisal district, and then they can verify it, and if need be, they can update their records too. Page 23, abstract of title. This is a pretty involved and can be very slow process, but it's something we have to do. If we're not sure about title, we need to verify the title. We need to find everyone that's had a piece of this property, and that's kind of what the abstract is. It's a summary. It's a summary of all the transactions involving the property. Selling, it's going to have liens. It's going to give us a snapshot of who has an interest in the property, and if we need to put them into the lawsuit, we will. So it's very important. It's slow. You can see we requested 72. We got 74, and that's probably because the 74 we got were not the 72 that we requested. It's slow. These are probably carryover from the year before, and it'll happen again this year. Chapter 5, litigation. So every month we file suits. You can see last year we filed a total of 46 suits, and then we have regular dockets here in Wilson County. I come here every month, handle the suits. We also meet with our taxpayers if they are honoring their word and keeping the payment arrangements. I usually don't have a problem if it's a reasonable amount to reset the case, give them an opportunity to pay it without a judgment. Sometimes they can't or they won't, and so we'll proceed to a judgment. But the important thing is that we set our cases on a regular docket, and we prosecute the docket. We don't let them just hang there and end up on a dismissal docket for what we call warrant of prosecution. Below that, the motion in order for attorney ad litem. These are important when we have cases where maybe the original owner has passed away, and so now we're dealing with heirs, and we can't get in touch with all the heirs, or we see that there was a mention of an heir somewhere, but we can't find that person. So we'll ask the court to appoint an attorney ad litem, and they represent the unknown heirs. If they find them, they let us know, then we can reach out and contact those unknown heirs and bring them into the suit. Our trial judgments on page 25. You can see for the year, total of 50. Equally important is you'll see over two columns over, 35 dismissals. Now, the only time the cases are dismissed, historically, it's going to be for payment in full. So that's always a good sign. I'd rather see a healthy amount of dismissals and not just all judgments and dismissals. If we're just doing judgments with no dismissals, we're not really doing our job. So we try to collect as much as possible and dismiss the suit whenever possible. The total amount of judgments last year was $271,367. Page 26, citation reissues. This is just when we're having trouble finding somebody and we need to get service. So what I usually do is after every docket, I'll go to the district clerk, I'll go through the file, and I'll check service to see if we need to update it or if we've gotten good service, and then report that back. Below that is the American Rescue Plan. That's what I mentioned in the very beginning. And you can see of that plan, there was actually 22 accounts that were paid in full for just under $14,000. Our tax sales, it's the last resort. You can see last year we set 73 properties for sale. We only sold 3. But if you look over at the last column, how many were canceled or paid? 67. Again, this is the goal, is right to get them paid, not necessarily sold. So often it's the last resort, but often it's necessary. And ultimately, we see the vast majority were paid. Tax resales, these are the properties that don't sell the first time. We'll usually run them twice a year. Last year we set 2, and we sold 2. None of them were struck off. So now they are back on the tax roll. Taxes are being paid on those properties. Behind that's our flow chart of our tax collection process. Bankruptcy on page 29. Bankruptcy is actually a pretty big deal, not just because I did it for many years. But it's important that we are aggressive in getting our claims filed in a bankruptcy. Chapter 7 cases that are liquidated, often the property is taken, it's seized by the bank or what have you. We make sure and get our claims filed so that the lien goes with the property. They take it subject to our lien. Chapter 11, very often they're looking for financing. They do what's called cash collateral. And if we're not careful to monitor that, sometimes they can try what we call prime our lien, where they say, we're going to loan you this money, but now we're first in line to get paid. And we make sure there's language in there that protects the tax lien. Page 31 is the overall collection results. You can see for the year, there was just over $1 million collected in the year 2023, which is not very far off from 2022, but definitely up from 2021 and earlier. And then finally, on page 32 is the analysis of collection performance. This is sort of the snapshot, but it gives you historical years too, 2019, 20, and 21. The important place I like to look is the third column over. You'll see the collection percentage at turnover. This is important because look at 2019, when the roll was turned over to us, 97% had been paid. By the end of the year, last year, of that 2019, 99.5% has been paid. Similarly, 2020, 99.3, 2021, 98.9. This year, or for 2022 tax years, when it was turned over, it was 96.8. By the end of the year, we had it up to 98.3. And the importance of this chart, to me, is that it shows that we are constantly working the roll. We don't just send out letters and hope something happens. If we send out letters and we got a bad address, our research team jumps in. If we file a suit and we can't find somebody, our research team jumps in. If we think we got a problem with title, we'll research the title, or we'll have an abstractor do it for us. That's my report. If you have any questions, I'm happy to try and answer any questions.
Commissioners have any questions? Thank you, Mr. Mullen.
Thank you, Judge. Commissioners, thank you.
Agenda item number 6, we have Commissioner Aiken, Precinct 4, inform the court and the public of text work to be performed on State Highway 123, beginning at the Guadalupe and Wilson County line and ending at Business 87 Main Street in Stockdale. Speed limits in the work zones will be reduced. And I take it TxDOT will be.
Yes, sir.
Who wants to be the lucky one up here?
Judge, this is Mr. Will Lockett, and Mr. Mark Andrews is sitting here. Mr. Andrews is at the Floresville office, and Mr. Lockett is the engineer over Comal, Guadalupe, and Wilson counties.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here
You have the
today.
floor.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for having us here at this Commissioner's Court. As Commissioner Aiken said, my name is Will Lockett. I am the area engineer for TxDOT in Comal County. But I have with me Mr. Colin Dugash, who is my project engineer here in Wilson County. So he is actually going to be running the project on 123. He's taking care of all of our other projects, such as the County Road 235 bridge. I believe that's the right county road that we just replaced, the US 87 project where we're replacing the bridge at Clifton Branch, and some other projects we're finishing here in Wilson County. So, Mr. Dugash, you want to come up, please?
Yeah, so I'm Colin Dugash. I'm the engineer here in Wilson County. So the project for 123 is going to start at Business 87 in Stockdale and go all the way to the county line, Guadalupe County line. We're widening and rehabilitating the road, so there'll be center turn lane for portions of it. There'll be passing lanes for portions of it. And then we're going to run for the construction, we're going to run traffic behind concrete barrier. So we'll run two-way traffic still, no signals or anything to delay traffic, and it'll be 55 mile an hour construction speed limit. So it's set up for 5 phases currently. So current phase is the first phase will start April 1st. They'll start setting barrier. And then the project is expected to last about 4 years.
The expansion on this roadway, is that going to go all the way back to 181? Is this another evacuation route in case of hurricanes? That's not what the purpose of it is? Because I know that's a straight shot to 130 if they need to get out, correct? They go to Seguin.
Yes, sir. So 123, I believe, is already a hurricane evacuation route coming up from 181 out of Karnes County. But the real purpose for this job is to rehab the roadway. So back in, this was before my time, but back in the 1930s, when the Stockdale Highway was built, it was a concrete highway from Seguin to Stockdale. And so as traffic progressed, as we did work on the Stockdale Highway, called it 123, we never removed that concrete roadway. And so it's giving my maintenance supervisors like Mr. Andrews a headache because you'll start getting longitudinal cracking. So in Guadalupe County, that project to the north, we removed all of that old concrete and rebuilt a newer, wider road. And so we're really continuing that project south into Stockdale. And so it's really to remove that concrete roadbed. It'll give us a better riding surface and a much easier roadway to maintain.
Any other questions?
You know, I'm gonna ask for your number.
I got some cards right here for you.
Got some cards, great. See, I can appreciate that, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, appreciate it. Thank you.
So were
Thank you for coming again.
there any other questions with anything in Wilson County?
Some things changed, I had received an email, and that's the way that I put it, as far as it starting at the northern county line. But we're gonna start in Stockdale and work north.
So that is yet to be determined. It of course is up to the contractor, but we'll make sure that we communicate that with everybody. I know we've reached out to the school district and the city of Stockdale, and we'll make sure our public information office keeps everybody informed.
Great,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank y'all for having us. Thank you.
Agenda item number 7, we have Commissioner King, Precinct 2, discuss take action on reauthorization of the Wilson County guidelines and criteria governing tax abatement agreement.
So we had this, meeting a while back, a couple of weeks ago. And Ms. Evelyn, is there anything we need to,
No, I looked into the issue regarding the quorum, and of course, the Texas Open Meetings Act determines how the meeting is conducted, so a quorum is sufficient to vote, which is 50% plus one individual. I did look into also the nonprofit information that was requested, and the county is not prohibited, or there would not be anything that would prevent the county from making changes to the abatement should the development or anything be sold later to a nonprofit organization. It can always be reviewed, it can be modified, because the abatement is specifically to one project or one developer. So
Entity.
if they change, or they decide they sell, or they want out, then the abatement does not follow should that land be sold to someone that the county does not want to levy taxes on.
We have one public, you have a question?
I was
Go ahead.
fixing to say, that those were the concerns that we had last time, and that's why I wanted, Mr. Huron to speak about that.
Ms. Gibby, come on up.
I still believe that the whole issue around the nonprofit is that you ought to tell people up front you're not going to approve that. It's kind of a bait and switch if you don't, okay? And I see that as a real trap, okay? I've dealt with tax abatements for a few decades, and that is just one of those things that I see as a potential problem. And there was absolutely no changes made to this thing to deal with that. Thank you.
Ms. Huron, we've got safeguards in place for that?
I believe so. You know, if there are suggestions as to how it should be worded, I mean, you're more than welcome to present those rather than. I actually did that 2 meetings ago. I actually handed somebody that. But, you know. One of the issues when you're dealing with an issue like this, if you're in the position of the public, you don't have real good knowledge of what's happening before you get here. You have a topic, but you don't have the particulars.
Luckily, I was able to take a look this morning at somebody's notebook, but it's not like we're proposing this and we have a link to it when we put up the agenda. There is no way for the public to make informed comment. Okay. But what I had written before basically was, and unfortunately, I'm not looking, I don't have a hard copy in front of me, but in the area that you could, I had actually given it to somebody a month ago, because at that time, somebody had given me a hard copy to look at. But I literally cited some simple language and the paragraph to put it in, and I'm sorry that somehow or another didn't make it to where it should have gone. I'm sorry about that.
All right, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion for Agenda 7.
Judge, I make a motion to reauthorize the Wilson County Guidelines and Criteria Government Tax Agreement.
Second.
Motion has been made by Commissioner King, second by Commissioner Perdola. Is there any other further discussion on agenda item number 7?
I guess the question is, we decided that we could do it with a quorum, but are we changing it to where we can do it with a quorum instead of having it?
I believe your question was when there was going to be a tax abatement presented to the Commissioners Court for review or approval.
We
how
would
it
change it
would
at that,
be- It would be majority, regular vote is,
because it still reads, it'll be in effect for 2 years unless amended by 3/4 of the Wilson County Commissioners Court.
that would be the 4 of you, anyway. Half would be 3.
Half
so
would
you
be,
have- if you have
half
one
would be
quorum,
3, and
Which is a quorum also. I believe it's
I guess the question that took place the last time was, it's harder to amend it. 3/4, well, no, it's not.
No, and I think your concern was if there was an abatement presented in a certain precinct that affected.
Just that precinct.
Just that precinct,
And everybody else could take it
Could it
and
be-
be able to pass it.
yes, and
But-
they would be able to, yes.
I guess it would
Right.
be the same with the half, 50%, 50%.
Yes.
So, okay.
Any other discussion? Hear none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Motion passes. We move to agenda item number 8. We have Ms. Brenda Trevino, County Auditor, Award 24-2001, bulk gasoline and diesel bid.
Good morning. You were all provided a copy of the bid tabulation for the bid packets received for bulk gasoline and diesel, bid number 24-2001. We received 3 completed applications, and in the bid tab, and I just, for transparency, I just wanted to go over with you the numbers and to allow the court to make the best decision possible for this county. Out of the 3 eligible applications that we received, or bid packets that we received, their profit margin was fairly close to each other. Arnold Oil Company had a profit margin of 18 cents per gallon. Cruise Incorporated DBA John's Oil was 4 cents higher at 23 cents per gallon, and Midtex Oil LP was also at 19 cents a gallon. The law statute tells us that the court is to, when we go out for procurement, that we are to award bids based on the lowest and the best. And so although Cruz, John's Oil had a higher profit margin in researching additional factors of their application. Arnold Oil Company charges a surcharge delivery fee to Precinct 4. Let me verify. It was Precinct 4.
About 6 cents.
Yes, to to Sutherland Springs location. So it is about, it's 0.0589. So their price per gallon, factoring in their profit margin, actually becomes higher than the other two bids we received. Based on the rack price as of February 29th, their total price per gallon delivered would have been $2.91. For red dye diesel, $3.11, and $2.71 for unleaded. The Midtex Oil LP, now they did state that their price is going to be based off of the day of delivery on the Opus average, which in our bid packet, if you remember, we changed the wording stating that the county would no longer be utilizing the Opus average and instead use the daily rack price. But nonetheless, they went ahead and provided pricing anyway, letting us know that they would use Opus. And just for clarification, if Midtex is awarded, we would have to go back to them to remind them that we would not accept the Opus average rate. We would have to go back through and obtain the price from the daily rack price. So that is the information I wanted to provide to you. It is up to the court's discretion on how or who you want to award the bid. And as a reminder, this is only for a period of 6 months, and then we will go do it all over again for awarding a contract beginning October 1. Do you have any questions?
I do. So how many contractors do we have for gasoline and diesel?
Currently,
Yes.
we currently have 2.
Why do we have, why do we have to?
It's based on location, fuel being delivered for precinct 4, a company may be closer to precinct 4 than coming to precinct 2 and vice versa. The commissioners could probably speak more to that, but typically, on any of our bids for whether it's material, fuel, et cetera, more than one company can be awarded so that it leaves it up to the court's discretion on which vendor they would like to use. Because it may be that if Commissioner King's vendor is not available in an event of an emergency, he could always reach out to a vendor that Commissioner Aiken uses and vice versa.
Other thing, Judge, is some of us have tanks that are owned by the county. Some of them are owned by the providers. Some of us go get fuel at the stations rather than having any on-site storage. So depending on where we are logistically, we get our fuel in different methods.
Thank you for bringing that, Commissioner Aiken. One thing, one detail that I didn't share earlier was regarding the fuel tanks. We currently own the fuel tanks, the ones at our yards, and John's Oil did make a note in their bid packet that Precinct 4 tanks would be replaced at the Precinct 4 yard at no additional cost to the county.
And with Commissioner King and I both have spoke to Mr. Cruz at John's Oil. He has indicated he is partnering up with a company out of Houston. I forget the name, but anyway, John's Oil is willing to replace all of the precinct's tanks with larger tanks with monitoring systems on them where they will be able to monitor our fuel levels and keep us from running out of fuel like I do, and so does Commissioner King, at no cost to the county. So they're willing to provide us with new tanks with monitoring systems, which I think would be
I just want to bring up one thing, commissioners, and maybe y'all can help me out with this, because Commissioner Martin's not here. He does not have tanks.
That is correct.
And I don't want to leave him high and dry where,
No, I spoke with Commissioner Martin before he left, and so that he could just provide his input as well. You are absolutely correct. He does not have tanks, and he utilizes John's Oil here in town to take and get any fuel that's needed. His opinion was whatever the commissioners here today felt was in the best interest, since they are the ones that are more affected by it, so.
It's,
He was not opposed to consideration of all three, or one, or two, as you deem necessary.
not only that, is Sheriff, how often is he at your yard filling your stuff up? So, and that would, having a tank over there where he can monitor
Tanks
that.
there with monitoring systems in them where he can keep an eye on.
He called me the other day and told me the same thing, and I need to move that tank that's up against the building anyway, so if they're gonna bring in new tanks, we just gotta find a new place to sit it. So, yeah, and we have been running out just like you, because you never know how many gallons we use a week, and, this would prevent us from ever having a run out if they had a monitor where they need
Correct.
fuel levels.
It will help him be able to
Schedule.
manage
Schedule
his
his
loads better, to bring us bigger loads.
I haven't run out since I've been in office, because Midtex has somebody who comes out and double checks what we do.
That's a good thing.
We take and go ahead and read our tanks, and we haven't had a problem with the delivery schedule or anything else.
What action do you need the court to take today?
I'm just asking the court to award,
Minimum of 2, correct?
that is up to you. That is
Currently, it's
completely up to you.
John's Oils and Midtex, correct?
That's who we're using now.
That is currently who we were using, yes, now.
Mister, you use Midtex?
He uses Midtex.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion, Commissioner.
So, with what was said about the way Midtex provided their pricing, the motion would need to be that if we decided to take all of the vendors as a possibility of getting fuel for whichever commissioners, the sheriff needs it, they would need to amend their bid to reflect the daily rack price
That is
instead of Opus.
That is correct.
And if they refuse to amend to the daily rack price, then we have our answer on they don't want to continue to.
They would not be, correct, they would not be compliant with our contract once we submit the contract.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we accept all of the vendors as listed today by the county auditor. And Midtex will need to take and provide daily rack pricing for their product to be compliant with our guidelines.
It's a mouthful.
Second.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Akins, seconded by Commissioner Paradola. Is there any other further discussion on agenda item number 8? Hear none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Agenda item number 9, we have Commissioner Paradola, Precinct 3, discuss and take action on approving a 48-month lease agreement with John Deere Financial for a 2024 770G maintainer, which was previously approved as a cash purchase from Precinct 3 Road and Bridge Funds.
And Commissioner, I have the paperwork here if you wanted me to speak to it. I didn't know.
Good.
Did you want me to? Okay, go ahead.
We talked about purchasing it, and it was approved in court for me to purchase this maintainer on a cash purchase. In reviewing it a little bit further, I think a 48-month lease makes a lot better sense for Precinct 3. It will save a huge outlay of cash. And at the end of the 48-month lease, I have the option to either purchase it or get a new machine. So it just makes a lot more sense to do a lease instead of a cash outlay.
Okay.
Is there a cash down payment for this, like a lease on a vehicle?
Yes, so the selling price of the maintainer is $364,880.22. Commissioner Perdola has opted to provide a down payment of $30,000, which he obtained that payment from the selling of his old maintainer, and wants to apply that $30,000 as a down payment to this new purchase of the 2024 maintainer. The total amount to finance would be $334,880.22. and we were given 3 different options based on the total number of hours estimated to be used. Commissioner Perdola is opted for option 2, which, as he stated, is a 48-month term in providing annual payments of $57,654.58 each year, and that is for a usage of no more than 750 hours per year. And so since the reason I asked for this to be put on the agenda for review and approval is because the court had already approved for the complete purchase out of Commissioner Perdola's road and bridge budget to be paid in full, and instead we would be entering into a lease contract.
Any discussion? Anybody got any?
Call for the vote.
Do I really need to make a motion first on?
Yeah, let's make a motion.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the 48-month lease agreement on the John Deere, with John Deere Financial for a 2024 770G maintainer.
Motion made by Commissioner Perdola, seconded by Commissioner King. Is there any other discussion on agenda item number 9? Hear none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, ayes have it, motion passes. We have agenda item number 10, discuss and take action on approving an invoice for Broadus and Associates to be paid from the general fund non-departmental reserve line item.
Yes, Commissioners and Judge, I provided you a copy of an invoice that we received dated January 31st, 2024 from Broadus and Associates. Broadus and Associates was retained by the county last April to initially it was to get that company, and this company was brought to us by Commissioner Martin, to rewrite our hazard mitigation plan. At the time, the cost of rewriting the hazard mitigation plan, the county had not budgeted funds for that. So this company found a grant opportunity that would pay for, through the General Land Office, that would pay for rewriting of the hazard mitigation plan. Throughout this entire process, they have been the ones that have been, that wrote the narrative, submitted the entire application with the GLO. It was a very, very lengthy process, which ended in success for us because the GLO awarded Wilson County $80,000 to be used toward the rewriting of our hazard mitigation plan. Now, in the course of that, our assumption was that, or the assumption of Broadus, was that the monies that we were awarded by the GLO could be used to pay for their services to write and submit the grant application. So I had a meeting with the GLO, a couple of meetings actually, and I pointed out that Broadus and Associates were the company that wrote the application, and I did not feel that it was in the best interest of the county that they be associated with any future development of the hazard mitigation plan because they had prior knowledge, which is exactly what the GL told me was a disqualifier for Broadus. And so in conversation with Judge Whitman, we obviously owe money to Broadus for the work that they did to secure the grant application, so they submitted an invoice to the county, and at which this point, I just need some direction on where we are going to code this. I did meet with the judge and Commissioner Martin. Commissioner Martin kind of took the lead from this from last year. And I don't remember, and I'd have to go back to last year's minutes or ask our county clerk. I don't remember if the court is the one that approved to secure Broadus to even write that application. I honestly can't remember last week, much less last year, so I'd have to double check on that. But nonetheless, the invoice amount, and you'll see it's very detailed. I provided you a copy detailed of the number of hours worked by each of their staff members for a total of $13,047.50. And so we need to pay the invoice for the services received, And the only, I guess, logical would be from our non-departmental budget, but I certainly did not want to approve payment of the invoice without being transparent in court.
So to answer the question, I do believe we approved utilizing Broadus. You asked me a month, I can't tell you the month.
Yeah.
I mean,
I do vaguely remember that. I just don't remember, I don't remember the discussion and what the actual approval was. I believe you may have
I would have
approved.
guessed summer, somewhere
And I
along
do
the line.
remember, well, it had to have been in the April, May timeframe because that's when they started. But I do remember us coming to court because there wasn't money budgeted, and the court, I believe, approved utilizing or allowing Broadus to continue under the assumption that it was at no cost to the county at that time, so. Yeah. And in speaking with Commissioner Martin last week, he did call Broadus and informed Mike Monreal, who works for Broadus, and informed him of the latest findings, and to which he agreed. And he did state that he and his company were unaware that them writing the application would make them ineligible from participating in the writing of the new hazard mitigation plan.
So where are we at on hazard mitigation plan?
So right now, because of the award that we were granted from the GLO, my office now is in the process of preparing a bid packet because there were specific guidelines and specific requirements that the GLO has when we go through the procurement process of securing a company to rewrite the plan. Our current hazard mitigation plan that we have right now is active, and it is still good, but it is the one that is in conjunction with Karnes County. And so by having a hazard mitigation plan specific to Wilson County, greatly increases our chances for future grant awards that we can use when we are submitting future applications especially for road and bridge projects. So it is going to be a very lengthy process. I will tell you, Commissioner, there are lots and lots of details. Like I said, I've had a couple of meetings with the General Land Office for the requirements because we were under the assumption that Broadus was going to handle everything. So it's a learning curve for us as well. But I feel confident we can get there. It's just not going to happen overnight.
Part of that push for the hazardous mitigation plan to be revised was the additional monies that we could be used to revamp the side of the building where the emergency management centers go, the one that's right with the sheriff's office. There are some things that are going to go in there, but we put that on hold until this comes out, whether we're going to get that extra funding or not. And I think we will. So that was the whole part of the rewriting of the hazardous mitigation plan that we had to have in place before we start putting in for those grants.
But in the meantime, we owe this and
We owe it.
Get it paid.
Yes.
So are we good paying it out of the general fund and the non-departmental reserve line item?
We are.
How much do we have in that reserve? Because, I mean, we go to it quite a bit.
Well, you budgeted, I believe it was 190,000 and some change in that. Nothing has hit that yet because I've not been requested to have a budget amendment from that line item.
I don't think we've ever used it, Commissioner.
Yeah, I don't believe so. I don't have any budget amendments yet from that line item.
All right, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion on agenda item number 10.
I'll make a motion that we pay the Broadus and Associate to be paid from the general fund non-departmental reserve line item.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Paradolo, seconded by Commissioner Aiken regarding agenda item number 10. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, a call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, motion passes. Move to agenda item number 11. We have Mr. John Holcomb, our IT Director, discuss and take action regarding Beckworth Fire Alarm Monitoring, Fire Alarm Functioning Testing Renewal, Fire Alarm Repair, and labor agreements for the Wilson County Courthouse District Justice Center and our Sam Ford Junior Public Library. Mr. Holcomb, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
The Beckwith Fire Alarm Monitoring, Functional Testing, Equipment Repair, and Labor contracts are up for renewal for the Floresville Library, the District Justice Center, and the courthouse. Fire alarm monitoring cost has not changed from last year and is $550 for the year per location, for a total of $1,650 for all 3 locations. Functional testing for the library is $1,272. That's up from $1,235 last year. Equipment repair for the library and labor is $662, up from $643 last year. Functional testing at District Justice Center is $2,105, up from $2,044 last year. Equipment repair and labor for the District Justice Center is $1,111, up from $1,079 last year. Functional testing for the county courthouse is $1,336, up from $1,297 last year. Equipment repair and labor for the county courthouse is $708, up from $687 last year. The monitoring and testing are required, especially where the jail cells are because of the jail standards requirements. The repair and labor are optional. I recommend the repair and labor because you never know when something's going to break. Total functional testing for all 3 locations is $4,713, up from $4,576 last year. Total optional repair and labor for all 3 locations, optional repair, is $2,481, up from $2,409. Total to renew monitoring and testing for all 3 locations is $6,363. Total to renew monitoring, testing, and repair for all 3 locations is $8,844. The service dates for all of these agreements is May 1, 2024 through April 30, 2025. I did have the county attorney's office review it. I recommend, if possible, renewing the Beckwith fire alarm monitoring, functional testing, and equipment repair agreements for the Wilson County Courthouse, District Justice Center, and the Floresville Library for a total of $8,844 for May 1, 2024 through April 30, 2025 with Beckwith.
Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion for agenda item number 11.
Make a motion that we follow the IT director's recommendation of entering into a contract with Beckwith for $8,844.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Akins, seconded by Commissioner Paradola regarding agenda item number 11. Is there any other discussion?
John, on here, you have my phone number wrong.
We'll go through and make corrections to the contract if there's any issues with the contact information before we send it to them.
You just have 373 vice 393, so, on some of this stuff.
So contingent upon correcting the phone number.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, to call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, motion passes. John, stay up there. You're going to be there a while. Agenda item number 12. So we have Mr. Holcomb again, discuss and take action on upgrading existing Spectrum Internet service at courthouse and/or the sheriff's office from 100, I don't speak your language. What is that?
Megabits per second.
Okay, and to 1 gigabyte per second, right?
Gigabit.
Gigabit, okay.
Yes, sir.
It's your world, not mine. I don't.
I
just need to know
understand.
that my computer will turn on and it works. That's it. Okay.
That's our goal. Yes, sir.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, currently we have Charter Spectrum 100 megabit full duplex fiber internet service at the courthouse and the sheriff's office. Recently, some services have been moved to cloud internet-based storage, and the 100 megabit service is no longer sufficient, particularly at the sheriff's office. Internet service at the sheriff's office is near 100% capacity for most of the day now, and the high utilization is adversely affecting many services that use that connection. This includes services such as the email, NetData, eDoc, VPN service, Flex, Icon, and file sharing. For example, with the new cloud-based in-car camera system they recently installed at the sheriff's office, it takes as long as a week for some of the videos to fully upload and become accessible in the system. Many entities our size already have gigabit internet service now. Part of the reason we've been able to get by so long with 100 megabits, which we've had for over 10 years, by the way, is because many of the systems we use are on-premise. For example, a camera system that stores video on an in-house server doesn't use as much internet bandwidth. But as more industry moves to the cloud, we're going to have more of these requirements, additional burden on our internet service. Usage at the courthouse occasionally peaks through the day during large file transfers, but it's generally not at 100% usage for a substantial amount of time. However, we are in the process of implementing other cloud-based services at the courthouse, such as Carpel, which will increase our bandwidth needs and utilization. The Sheriff's Office Internet Connection provides service to the Sheriff's Office, jail, and Annex 2 facilities. The Courthouse Internet Connection provides service to the Courthouse, Tax Office, Treasury, Archives Building, Maintenance Shop, and the Annex 3, with exception to the library. Currently, we are paying $861.80 per month at the Sheriff's Office for 100 megabit internet service. We can upgrade to 1 gigabit service, which is roughly 1,000 megabits. It is actually 1,000 megabits, through DIR monthly billing for $1,808.80 a month. Or we could switch to a Charter Spectrum 36-month agreement, and the monthly cost would be $1,379 per month. Again, though, that would be in a 36-month agreement. Currently, we're paying $771.70 per month for the courthouse 100 megabit internet service. We can upgrade to 1 gigabit service through DIR monthly recurring for $1,758.40 per month, or we could switch the billing from DIR to Charter Spectrum directly under a 36-month agreement, and that monthly cost would be $1,299. It's my recommendation that we upgrade both the courthouse and sheriff office to 1 gigabit internet service under a 36-month agreement with Charter Spectrum for a total monthly recurring cost of $2,678. That is $1,379 per month for the sheriff office and $1,299 per month for the courthouse. The reason the sheriff's office connection is more expensive is because it has more IP addresses. We would be achieving 10 times the speed of what we're getting now for less than twice the cost. Further, this would improve productivity by having shorter download times and overall faster response. For example, a document that takes 10 seconds to download now will take 1 second, and that adds up. It adds up with all the documents and things that we process. That adds up to days. I visited with Brenda in the auditor's office about this, and it's my understanding that there are funds available in the line items these are currently being expensed to cover the additional cost. However, the IT department also has a communications expense account that can be used if needed, and I am requesting your permission to upgrade the internet service at both the sheriff office and the courthouse from 100 megabit to 1 gigabit service.
All right, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion for agenda item number 12 under the recommendation of Mr. Holcomb.
Do we need to put where it's coming from?
After I spoke with John, like he said, we currently have the money budgeted, and that's where it would stay. I told him, because I budgeted more money for this fiscal year, thinking that we were going to have an increase in price anyway. I don't foresee us going over budget in that line item. If we do, then I would just go back to John and say, hey, I'm gonna, code the last bill to our communications line item in the IT department. But at this time, I think it'll be fine. We're not anywhere close to utilizing what's been budgeted, so I think we're good.
Did you say the contract had been reviewed
I did send a contract to okay, and so that 36-month, there were some corrections to it that I sent you today. The corrections were, it had my name on the signature line. I'm not able to sign it, so that's been corrected to Judge Whitman. And also there were some address problems. They had the IP addresses on the wrong location. They had the sheriff's IP addresses at the courthouse, and yes, sir. And so that has been corrected, and I sent that to Judge Whitman.
And I
As
have,
long as you were happy with the contract and the wording of it, then
Standard fees for the time period.
I make them, oh, Judge, you got to call for it, sorry.
no, I did.
You did?
I did.
All right.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we take the IT director's recommendation to go with Spectrum for a term to be 36 months in the amount of $2,678 per month to be able to upgrade our internet services and our, I guess, our speeds at all of our county locations.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Aiken, seconded by Commissioner King. Do we have any other discussion on agenda item number 12? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Move to agenda item number 13. Again, Mr. Holcomb, our IT Director, discussion and potential action to enroll all current and future Wilson County employees, elected officials, and appointed officials who use a computer to perform at least 25% of their duties into the TAC Cybersecurity Training Course at a cost of $5 per person or another approved cybersecurity training course pursuant to Texas Government Code 2054.5191. Mr. Holcomb?
Thank you. Texas state law requires that all Wilson County employees, really all Texas government employees, who use a government computer to perform at least 25% of their duties, and all elected and appointed officers of the agency receive eligible cybersecurity training. This training must be certified to DIR by August 31st, or we risk losing grant funding. It's my understanding that because the grant funding component of this, that's why the training cycle runs along the Texas fiscal year, September 1 through August 31st. Many Wilson County employees who work with law enforcement records already receive eligible training on a yearly basis through their CJIS certification. Most of the sheriff's office, jail, district clerk, and county attorney, justice of the peace staff, and county court employees and officials already take the CJIS training, and this qualifies as their cybersecurity training. Previously, the DIR cybersecurity training was free. However, this year they are charging $5 per person who takes the DIR cybersecurity training course. Employees who need cybersecurity training but do not take the CJIS training will need to take the DIR cybersecurity training course. This includes, for example, tax office, elections, library employees, county commissioners. I estimate that the total count is less than 60 employees who will actually need to take that cybersecurity training through DIR, as most have already had or will have eligible training through CJIS training. The $5 per person fee could be paid from the IT department software licensing expense, or if Ms. Trevino has any other recommendations there. I'm requesting your permission to enroll all county employees who need cybersecurity training in the DIR cybersecurity training course and certify with DIR once all the required employees have received training within the September 1, 2023 through August 31st, 2024 timeframe. Also, I'd like to request that all cybersecurity training be completed by August 16, 2024 to give us time to complete the certifications with DIR.
So is this going to be annually? Because I know I took my training last year. So it's going to be every year?
Every year we do cybersecurity training, yes, sir. State law.
Okay. How do we make sure everybody's taking it?
Well, what I do is I pull a list of basically all of the email addresses that we have on record at the time, and I cross-check that with Jalen and also with each department. I will email the departments and I ask them for their certificates for CJIS training. The certificate of procedures training has to fall within that window of the September 1, 2023 through August 31st, 2024. If it falls within that window, I take them off of the list for the DIR. If it does not, then they'll have to take the training. And basically, typically if they have an email address, it's kind of difficult determining who uses a computer for 25% of their job. But the way I look at it, if they have an email address, that's, just about every employee has an email address. For example, your workers at the precincts don't have email addresses with the county, but they also don't use a computer. We also have custodians that way. Even maybe the kitchen staff at the sheriff's office, but they do use a computer occasionally, so I just have them take the training anyway.
So to set their mind at ease, how long does it take to take that training online?
It's about, I haven't taken this one. I'm not sure if they've made any changes to the course, but it's less than an hour, usually about 30 minutes or less. You can get done with it in the past. Yes, sir.
And we did have just for your information, we had a caveat last year that because it is required by the state for us to do it, any employee who does not take it, who is required their computer and access to our server would be disconnected until the training is taken.
We did have one last year that I ended up disabling because they didn't take the class. So that's that.
I did speak with John regarding the unexpected fee. We're not looking at more than probably $500, and that's probably on the high side. So I told John, we could code it to his department, or again, that is what our non-departmental reserve fund is for, unexpected expenses. And since we're not looking at more than $500, I think it'll be fine. But I did let John know that what I would like to do moving forward, knowing this for next year, when we start working on the budget, I will incorporate the $5 per employee by department so that we can budget it accordingly by department and add it to their training line item.
Okay, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion for agenda item number 13.
To be clear on the motion, where do we want it out of IT department funds?
John, what do you use the line item that you mentioned for, the money that's budgeted in your department?
Software licensing, I use it for client licenses, office licenses.
But is that money already, the money that we budgeted, is it already allocated to the specific licenses? So it would cause that line item to go over budget?
It is allocated. However, some costs, as strange as this may sound, have actually gone down.
Oh, so
And so there's actually, like certain licensing fees have gone down. And so I'm able to, or we don't need a software anymore. For example, we used to use the iMail server, and we've recently decommissioned that. And so we're not paying the renewal fee on that anymore, but it was still in the budget. So that could actually,
So then since that's the case,
Cover it.
I would recommend that we go ahead and code it to our IT budget at this time so that we don't have to
Do any changes
come
in
back
the
to
budget?
court if we, right, have to do a budget amendment, so.
I make a motion that we take the IT director's recommendation to budget up to a sum of $500 for the DIR mandatory training and take the funds out of the IT department's operational budget.
Second.
Have the completion by August 16th, I believe is what.
Okay, you want the time frame as well, and to have everybody completed by August.
16th, and if they're not complete, they get disabled.
Just to make sure 500 is going to cover that cost?
Yes, sir.
All right. Motion's been made by Commissioner Aiken, seconded by Commissioner Paradola regarding agenda item number 13. We have any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, ayes have it, motion passes. We have a little typo with our agenda, so we have another 13. We're going, for the record, we're going to go with 13A.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
13A.
Lucky 13 or
Lucky 13, I don't know about that. Okay, discuss and approve construction to enlarge ballot storage room at the elections office. Construction cost is $6,551. Olga, you want to come and tell us why we need that expansion?
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
Morning.
We kind of have already outgrown our storage. We are required by Secretary of State that we have our voted ballots stored for 60 days in the original voting box. And then after that, then we can go ahead, after 22 months, then we can go ahead and transfer them to another secure box. But this time, we do have the area, but after 22 months, we still have to retain those other voted elections. So when we have like our November elections, we don't have enough storage to keep those locked in our storage area that we have right now. So we just need to extend it so that we can keep them locked and secured like we're supposed to. Because right now, when the 22, we keep them out of the storage box that we have, and that's really not within Secretary of State's law to say that we have to keep them secured.
I went and visited with Olga last week, or 2 weeks ago, and she needs a space. They can't even walk around the ballot boxes in that room, so it's needed.
And so y'all have already got bids of what the cost is gonna be?
Yes, that's the bid that came in. And I think it's the same gentleman that did the first expansion.
Correct,
He did a
yes,
very
sir.
good job, so, and he's local, so, okay.
And it's within inside our building, our room.
Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion on 13A.
Where are these funds coming out of? Is this in her budget or?
She does not have a budget for building repairs and maintenance. You have two options. We could charge it to, we've got one county-wide building repairs and maintenance that's in our non-departmental budget that we could code it there. The other question I was going to ask you sometimes, Olga, and I'm not familiar on all the rules, but could this be something that the Chapter 19 funds cover?
No.
Okay, I wasn't sure. We do get money back from the Chapter 19 funds, and so I wasn't sure for that. So I would just recommend then that it goes to our building repairs and maintenance.
I'll make a motion that we approve the enlargement of the ballot storage room at the elections office at a cost of $6,551 to be paid out of our building and repair fund.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Paradola, seconded by Commissioner King regarding 13A. Any other
thank you.
discussion? Thank you, Olga. Thank you. Hearing none, a call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. We move to agenda item number 14. We have our County Sheriff, Jim Stewart, Sheriff's Office Monthly Progress Report. Yeah.
Page 5. It's actually, the 5th page of it is the compilation. It's actually a year-to-date total. You can see total calls in January is 1,500, it's 34, February 1,062 for a total of 2,596. Basically, we're averaging about 1,200 and something calls a month. If you go to the bottom of that page, security checks, patrol bias, that's our self-initiated, proactive. So we're holding, and they're part of those total calls, the way our system works. So we're running about 45% proactive in total calls that we're handling in a month. You can see our livestock complaints and animal complaints. Animal complaints running about 1 a day, 29 a month. Livestock calls running a little over 1, about almost 2 a day, almost 90 in February. Which those are, and then our mental health calls, actually are holding station at about 15, which basically is about 1 every 2 days. And of course, those are time consuming most of the time. They're gonna take multiple hours. Then if you go to the last page of that deal is the totals for CID. See, in January, they had a total of 185 cases, 99 active, 34 closed. February, 109 cases active, correction. They dropped down to 80 active cases and a total of 109 cases pending. That may either be just a light month, or it could be that extra investigators are starting to show an effect as far as total cases pending. Then on the separate page was my Operation Lone Star, last page. Didn't get that? Okay. I will make sure you get a copy. Operation Lone Star, they're still averaging about one felony arrest every day, day and a half. The last two reports, actually a small amount of fentanyl starts showing up. They've had a couple fentanyl cases in the last two reports, so we're starting to see a little of that here as far as in their activity. So it's something probably to keep an eye on.
Would you say, Sheriff, the majority of y'all's arrests and CID misdemeanor or felonies?
Probably felonies,
Okay.
because a lot of those CID, well, actually, it's probably going to be an even mix.
Okay. I'm just wondering, because I'm showing these 2 months here, and I know that when I was holding court here, certainly a lot of them that were coming up here to be arraigned, but that's showing low, not like January, 3 sent to county attorney, 2, same thing with the district attorney. You have 4, you have 0 in February, total of 4, so are we doing?
Not many cases been sent to the court, it looks like. I'll have to check on that.
Okay.
Out of the total number of cases that we showed cleared. Now, I don't know what cleared means as far as
I
their.
just want you to be aware, because when I was up here and you had somebody come before the court that had a case that was pending 300, 400, 500 days, are we making sure we're getting those case reports up here to the prosecutor? Because sometimes that's the delay.
Yep.
And, I mean, when I saw that, that was a trigger for me. If a guy's sitting in jail 6 months for a misdemeanor,
Right,
he did more than what time would be served.
Yes.
If he was sentenced.
yes,
So, okay. Or she, because they're
Right.
both.
true.
All right.
Sheriff, do we?
Yes, sir.
Anything going on with our locks and our system over there? Did that get resolved, or are we still working on it?
Actually, we're still working on it. We have a backup system in place now, so we're okay. And the system itself has been working with no flaws for the last couple of months.
Those are control panels.
Yes, the control panel is, the part of it that we're really looking at right now is there's issues with the camera system. And basically, that's more functional and what we get out of it that we're looking into to make sure we have that. But right now, as far as the locking system, we're in pretty good shape, I think.
What about our showers and stuff?
I think that's the process they're working on right now. We've got the shower screens up. Now I think we're working on the actual cleaning up the shower parts.
I know that's an ongoing process.
Yes.
We gotta keep that going.
I think right now we're also working on the vent system, cleaning the ventilation system.
How's that coming
to
along?
upgrade
Is
it.
it good? Are they doing
I think they're finished with the front side of the building. I haven't checked to see what the progress is in the back in the jail part, because that's a little more technical when it comes to moving people in order to clean that stuff, so. But, so they may have to do that like 1 or 2 cells a day.
Didn't the technician that came out said it didn't look like it had ever been cleaned?
Yes, he basically said, no, whenever they took them vents down and they turned them over to take them out and clean them, there was some of that stuff had over a 1/4 inch of mildew and junk on, they look nasty, very nasty.
Maybe your
But they're
allergies-
clean now.
Maybe your allergies have gone down in the.
Well, I would think that explains why a lot of people, by the end of the day, would start having head issues, allergy issues, is because when they come in is okay, but after sitting there all day and breathing that stuff in the air, I think hopefully this will alleviate a lot of that.
Okay.
Anything else, sir?
Anything for the sheriff? Thank you, Sheriff.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Agenda item number 15, we have Ms. Dawn Pelazic, our County Tax Assessor Collector, County Tax Assessor Collector Monthly Report. Ms. Pelazic?
Good morning. So I have the monthly report for February for the Wilson County Tax Office.
For the tax portion, we collected $3,465,128.77. We issued $94,366.17 in refunds. We collected $1,020 in fees. On that, the BP CAD, the $30.44, that is refunds that were issued that were not, the appraisal district didn't have enough funds collected for February, so we had to hold that, so that's why that's on there. For March, we deduct that amount from the collections that we do for them. The total amount paid to taxing entities for the collection of taxes was $3,371,813.86. We paid into the Riverbend TIF. Once again, that's for the for Wilson County, City of Floresville, Evergreen, and the hospital district, $62,925.80. For a total of 18,817 transactions on the tax side of the office. For the DMV side, $44,290 for road and bridge fees. The registration fees were $112,665.73. Commissions payable for the auto, $16,123.30. Young Farmer, $405. Total collected for the state comptroller was $789,680.86 for a total collected on the DMV side of $963,165.89. And we processed 5,751 DMV transactions. Texas Parks and Wildlife, we collected $1,986.53 and processed 27 transactions. So the total amount of money processed for the month of February in the tax office was $4,430,281.19 and a total of 24,595 transactions. Y'all have any questions? Nope. Okay.
We're getting your water heater.
Thank you.
Here's the deal. It's so mislabeled on the breaker box that he's probably gonna have to do it after hours because he's gonna shut the whole thing down.
Okay.
If he doesn't, he's gonna get electrocuted. We don't know which one goes.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, you bet. Agenda item number 16, we have Ms. Lou Cerato, our Permitting and Development Director. We have 16A, Subdivision Cantu. 1, review and approve final plat, discuss and take action.
Good morning. We are here to revise again the plat for Cantu subdivision. And there is Mr. McElgrath here to speak on his behalf. Would you like to? This is the one that we looked at last time that Mr. Caldwell was going to look into.
Thank you. Judge, Commissioners, thank you all again for having us up here to review the plat. We spoke with Mr. Caldwell last Wednesday, was the first time we spoke with him. And in discussion with him, we proposed having a 15,000-gallon water storage tank served by a 4-inch line. He was going to come back and try to speak with some of you county commissioners about it. And I believe he spoke with Ms. Serrato. That's something that we're amenable to. I think there's still a disagreement on some of the grandfathering, but we wanted to come to find an amenable solution to get the plat approved.
Yeah, and one thing I would like to see on that plat, we gotta make sure is that 15,000-gallon tank.
Yes, sir.
And the reason I say that is because our 2 different regulations don't even call for 15. The old regulations are 25, the new one's are 30. So I want to make sure that that's on the plat for sure.
Yes, sir.
And having that 4-inch line, and I'm okay with it at that point, I don't know if the other commissioners or the judge have something else on that, but I definitely want to see something like that.
The conversation was with the 4-inch line last time, right?
Yes.
Correct?
I think it was a 2-inch and y'all are gonna upgrade to a 4.
Yes, sir. Our previous design with the fire storage tank would have been a 2-inch line, which would meet water service regulations by TCEQ to the residences, and then a 2,500 gallon tank, which was a requirement under the 2010 subdivision regulations. And so we're upsizing to a 4-inch line for service both to the homes and to the tank, and then a 15,000 gallon tank. And I've directed our engineer already. He had resubmitted on Friday addressing 6 or 7 comments that came from KCI. I've directed him already to update the plat with 15,000 gallon tank, and to have that turned back around by the end of this week. And so what we're asking for is a conditional approval, pending clearing of the final comments from KCI, and then with the addition of that 15,000 gallon tank and 4-inch line.
Commissioner Aiken, we'll refer to you, you're our firefighter expert.
Okay, so how did we get to the 15,000 and 4-inch? I'm,
Well, we were, under the old regulations, we were at a 2-inch line and a 2,500 gallon tank, so this is a compromise.
but the new is 6 inches and 30,000 gallon tank.
They don't fall under the new regulations, they're still under the 2010 subdivision regulations, which would have been a 2-inch line and a 2,500 gallon tank.
Okay, so between the last time we talked about this at court, we have decided that there could be grandfathering.
Yeah, we gotta lose that word.
If I can.
Go ahead,
Well,
because
that was the issue, because there was an application done and under the old regulation, and then there were requested changes made after the new regulations. So the issue is whether or not they would be grandfathered, because it's the same application, but there were amendments made. Tom seemed to think that the grandfathering was not, because it was an amendment, it's an
entirely new application process.
But it does revert to the original specification. So therein lies the issue, is if it's grandfathered, then they're under the old regulation. If it's not, it's under the new. So this is a compromise that kind of puts it in the middle of the storage tank plus the 4-inch line, I believe. So as opposed to the 2 or the 6, this is kind of a compromise in the middle as to whether or not they would meet the grandfathering or not. Tom seemed to think that they did not. So, and that there's no way to grandfather, that their amended application was really a new application, and therefore they should meet the new specifications. So that was kind of the issue, because they were informed, and that through the communication that no, their old application was still active, and that they would just need to meet the old regulations. So this is kind of a compromise in the middle of that.
How many other situations do we have this in the midst?
This one, just this one, just.
Okay.
It was brought in right before our regulations changed in September. There were some changes, but there was communication between our former director and the engineers. They kind of told them that they would fall under the old regulations. So when Mr. Caldwell spoke to, I don't know if he spoke to you, Daniel.
Yes, we spoke on Wednesday.
They came to a compromise for this 4-inch lines and a much bigger tank than would have been in our old regulations.
Yeah, and that was kind of, because we had had some meetings, and they had requested whether or not they were grandfathered. I believe that they would be, and under the old regulation, but Tom indicated that he did not believe that they would be, so I defer to him. So part of that was the communication with the office and the people that were there before, indicating that it was really the same application, but because of that discrepancy, kind of a middle compromise to that. And Tom believed that that compromise was probably, that would work for the county, and then I believe that would work for the developer.
Okay, so to be clear and transparent, the county attorney believes that this is going to be suitable for the guidelines. I mean.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, because, I mean, whenever it comes to firefighting, and you know this side of it, is 2,500 gallon tank ain't gonna do us.
No,
A 15,000 gallon tank, at least they got something to come back and restock
a
with.
little bit longer,
They got
a lot
something.
more water flow through a 4-inch and 6-inch. And I understand that your goal is to make sure that there's water pressure to the homes every single day so that the end user can take and water their grass, wash their clothes, be able to drink clean water. Whatever may be, and the fire suppression may not be as important or a key component.
It's still important to us. At the end of the day, these are, our customers, and we want to make sure that there's adequate, support and discussions with y'all. And, we care about our end customers. At the same time, we don't want to push the amount of cost associated with getting to a 6-inch line and/or a larger tank and hydrants creates a challenge for home buyers in a time when homes and land are already expensive. And so we're trying to find that middle ground of what's an acceptable cost that the end user can take and what provides adequate fire protection and adequate water service to the end users, to the homeowners.
How many lots are in this subdivision?
25.
It's pretty small. And TCEQ told them a 2-inch line was sufficient to supply water to the home, so bringing it to a 4-inch line is way better than a 2-inch line. And a 15,000 gallon tank is much better than a 2,500 gallon tank, so that's where we're kind of at, meeting in the middle ground on it.
And they've brought other stuff to us. I mean, we had 2 fire hydrants at one time on the 4-inch line, but they weren't gonna produce the 250 gallons sustained for 2 hours at that point.
Right.
Then what Oak Hills had a water study done on their 2-inch line, and I mean, the end user wasn't hardly getting water pressure at that point either. So this is a great compromise right here. This actually, in the subdivision realm, and a water.
Did y'all address this in subdivision? No, you didn't, because this was just done last Wednesday. So,
But water for fire, I mean, it's kind of.
All right, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion on 16A.
Make a motion to approve this Cantu subdivision in contingency of that 15,000 gallon tank on it
Yes, sir.
And 4-inch line.
with a 4-inch line. Yes, sir.
Second.
Motion been made by Commissioner King, seconded by Commissioner Paradola. Is there any other discussion on 16A1?
No, sir.
Hear none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. We move to 16B.
you.
Thank you, sir. 16B, subdivision Green Acres Phase 1, review and approve final plat, discuss, take action.
So this one was reviewed at last Commissioners Court, and I believe Commissioner Martin wanted to see a culvert table on the plat that was missed, I guess. It was, because they all have to have that on there. But I do have Mr. Jason O'Connell here to speak. They did make those changes on the actual plat.
Come on up, sir. Good morning.
Judge, Commissioners, we spoke with Mr. Martin. We changed up the culvert table on the plat. We made sure he was happy with everything, good with everything. I got an email from him. It'll be on the second page of the actual, it'll be on the actual layout of the actual plat. And it shows an 18-inch per each lot. Yes, Mylars with the adjustments on them, if final.
If you don't see them on there, that's because we sent them out before we got the Mylars. We sent out the agenda items.
They all want to see it.
Okay.
All right.
Small vision, small writing, you're saying it's addressing the 18-inch tubes, but I haven't found it yet.
Would you like to see the Mylars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're saying it's not in the packet?
It's not in the packet because we sent out the agenda item packet.
The table is up here in the corner.
Yeah, the table is right there.
Yeah. I'll get my phone out and magnify that
Well.
1,000%.
And they need to be signed. If it gets approved, that would need to be signed.
The main concern last time is we had a schedule on exactly the way the sizes needed to be for water flow, and we didn't have that in there. So it is now included to follow the table as we've addressed.
All right here.
Okay. Much better.
But it shows for each and every pot. So it's laid out each for each and every lot.
And
Thank
that's
you.
what Commissioner Martin was concerned about.
Right, he was concerned that it wasn't listed in the plat.
And I also have an email from Commissioner Martin that says that as long as they have 18 inch on every one, he's good with it.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion for 16B1.
I'll make a motion that we approve the final plat for Green Acres Phase 1.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Paradolos, seconded by Commissioner Aiken. Do we have any other discussion on 16B1? Hear none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. We move now to item 16C, update subdivision regulations, Article 2, Section Q. 1, a residential subdivision including a master planned community that is or will be subdivided into 500 or more lots, or the potentially could expand into a subdivision of 500 or more lots through master planning, is required to have at least 2 means of ingress and egress in the subdivision. Go ahead, ma'am.
So these, the current regulations do state that we need an ingress and an egress at 1,000 lots. That's really not very practical. It's a state rule. So what we're trying to do is ensure the health and the safety of the community. So at this point, we're doing 500 lots for ingress, egress. And that's the only thing that's changing on that, in Article Q, Article 2, Section Q.
I know that I have several subdivisions that have one way in, one way out. Heaven forbid, but should there be an emergency or a huge fire, it would be utter chaos getting the people out of these smaller subdivisions. So I can't imagine a subdivision with 500 homes with only one way in and one way out.
And we are looking into doing some more updates on our regulations, just because there are a lot of gray areas. And I did speak with other counties that said, wow, I can't believe you guys are still at 1,000 homes. So this is one of our first changes, but we do have other changes that we're working on.
Okay.
Especially whenever we got subdivisions, 5 miles long. I mean, there's no way out if there's a fire, or if there's a wreck or something up front.
We have one person signed up for public comments. Ms. Berlanga, is that correct?
Yes,
Yes.
I wanted,
There's two? Okay.
I wanted to hear what she had to say first. I will say,
Come on up, come on up.
Introduce yourself, please.
Alina Berlinga, I live in Shannon Ridge. So we were here listening to this because our concern is the proposed 900 homes that they want to put in kind of on the, if you're on 181 looking at Shannon Ridge, it'd be on the left side. They're planning to try to use Cary Lane, which is in our subdivision, as one of their ways in and out. But are you talking about proposing new egress and ingress?
Yes, this is going forward from whatever subdivision.
New subdivisions.
And they haven't submitted their plat yet.
They have submitted their plat. We will be having a public forum at 1 o'clock to address the issues for that subdivision.
They have submitted their plat,
They have officially now submitted their plat.
but this is not in place yet.
This is a different, it's not in place. The regulation is not in place.
That's our concern. We will have a ton more traffic. You're talking 900 homes. How many people live in each of those homes? How many vehicles in those homes would be traveling or trying to travel through Cary? If, I'm not sure if they're even putting in a road going to 181. That would meet their two requirements if that was in place. We don't know what they're talking about, a wastewater treatment facility with runoff going into Mr. Frazier's property where he runs cattle. It's not even, it would be going, the developer has that property, or I'm sorry, that wastewater treatment flow going to, or the treated wastewater going to his property. And his plans show that it goes into the San Antonio River, and that is completely false because the elevation goes up. Water doesn't travel uphill. So that's a huge increase. We're going to attend the meeting here, but, so I would
And I
love
believe
to,
that
I am in support of what she is
Developer gonna be
proposing,
here? Good, okay.
even though we've invited them since last year to talk to us, and they refused to even answer any of our emails or calls.
Those are all good questions. We want to know on them.
So we are in support of this. Yeah, absolutely.
We're trying to change all these regulations just to catch more situations like this.
To prevent this in the future. Our county's not prepared for this kind of thing.
Exactly. We're not prepared for the type of growth of this, so we're trying to push all the regulations that we can right now that would, like I said, increase the health and safety of the.
Yeah, it's a big concern, but that was, thank you.
We have another public speaker? Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Deborah Segovia, and I also live in Shannon Ridge. And I was interested in item 16C about the ingress and egress for new subdivisions of 500 homes. We're requesting the court to support our position is that developers that come into Wilson County to develop new housing, that they should bring their own ingress, egress points. They should not rely on existing subdivisions, roads, to accommodate the requirement of a second ingress, egress point. To Elena's point, Cary Lane is with this Bella Ranch, and we'll all be there today at 1 o'clock. There's a bunch of us. We can't handle it. Our subdivision roads are in deplorable condition. There's no way we could handle 900 additional cars going up and down Shannon Ridge Drive. So we want to request that the court make that a requirement that all new developments must bring in their own ingress and egress points without relying on existing residential roads. That could change in the future if Wilson County develops a capital improvement plan going forward, where over the next 10 years, they have road improvements that bring roads up to standards. Right now, we can't do it. Shannon Ridge, I mean, there are parts of Shannon Ridge Drive that would collapse with that amount of traffic on it. So my point today is to request the court to consider that in these changes to subdivision planning.
I have a question. Does Cary Lane, does it dead end up against?
It does.
It does.
Can we get that
It's like a stub out.
dead end road?
actually, the master plan that was submitted by this developer does have a stub out that goes into Shannon Ridge. But if you look at the CAD or any other map, there's a house right there. So I don't know they can even use the one that they have on their master plan. So that might be something that needs to be adjusted by them.
Okay.
We'd have to go all the way back to Shannon Ridge whenever it was built and see what that master plan was.
Anybody know when Shannon Ridge was built?
I'm sorry?
Shannon Ridge, do we know when it was built?
Early 2000s, wasn't it?
It was built in 1997.
97?
And at the time, Martex was the developer, and at the time that the county took possession of the roads, from my understanding, the county did not have any road inspectors. They did not, it was basically the commissioner or his aide that went out there and said, okay, yeah, we'll accept the roads, and the roads were not done to spec. They're not. They need to be milled and completely overlaid.
So, just to explain, we, in this last regulations we passed, we got pretty stringent on the roads that are being built in these subdivisions, and we're holding them, their feet to the fire.
I noticed that with Abrigo Lake was a good
Yeah,
example.
because the county ends up inheriting that.
Exactly.
After a certain amount of years, and they're built by substandard means they fall
Mhm.
apart. The other thing that people need to understand is our commissioners don't do asphalt. We don't have they can only patch it. They don't have the machinery to lay
Exactly, exactly.
so that's why we took an active stance on that when we did the regulations, like, we got to upgrade this. Matter of fact, we went a little bit further than, we had to back down a little bit. But we're above what we believe is a standard, way above. now.
And that's wonderful going forward. But somehow we've got to go back and bring these other roads up to code. So, but knowing that and bringing your attention to it, I would ask for your support that new development must bring in their own ingress and egress points with regard to residential roads.
I agree.
Thank
I know
you.
that Borrego Lake does not have it.
I know.
And that's
Rigo Lake
dangerous.
looks good.
Kerry Lane, a county road, is that one of your maintained?
Yeah, it's part of,
Okay, because whenever I go to our county road map, it doesn't have it on there, and so, yeah, I'm looking in Shannon Ridge
yeah, it's,
on the map.
it's all the way up.
I'm just trying to get a feel of where we're talking about, since it's opposite of where I take care of.
Right.
Okay.
All right, thank y'all.
I agree that these
Thank you.
developers need, if
Thank you.
they need
Yeah.
two
I'm sorry, one more thing.
roads in and out.
I encourage all of you to just take a trip, even after Commissioners Court today. Just go over to the subdivision, drive in the main entrance of Shannon Ridge, put your, navigation to Cary Lane, and just go see what we're talking about, and that property that backs up to Cary. This whole wastewater thing going into those homes, have you driven by the city of Floresville tanks? It reeks. That's what we're gonna have right behind a bunch of properties over there, and they're wanting to use that road, and they're talking about adding, a basketball court and whatever, soccer field or some other stuff. But just take a drive over there so you can better understand what we're talking about.
Colonel, you're with San Antonio Water. Anything come on up here.
And a lot of this is gonna be at the clock.
Judge, Commissioners, Derek Godlitz, San Antonio River Authority. Yes, I thought the meeting with the 1 o'clock was actually at 10, so I was here early. But yes, there's a lot of issues. And I know you sat down with the GM at the River Authority, talked to them. So we've been researching. There's still more information to come out. We've been waiting for the final plat and the information, but we're standing in support of the county and anything that we can do to help. As an engineer, the 500 homes. Wow, I'd be like. I mean, I couldn't imagine more than 100 not having its own, dedicated, multiple egresses and stuff like that. Just things I've been hearing as an engineer. But you're balancing that with the county and with the existing areas and where these people are developing the properties they're buying. So you got to weigh all those different aspects, which is it's not cut and dry. Nothing's cut and dry, but got to find those regulations that work for our county and help keep things from becoming bigger problems in the future because the growth is coming.
And like I said, we're in the midst of doing a lot of changes to the regulations.
Yep.
They're just gray. There's so much that could be interpreted the wrong way, and what we want to do is put more black and white on our subdivisions. It's either this way or that way, not
I'm concerned about that, but I'm also concerned about the property rights of this gentleman that's being, I mean, he has a concern. I don't understand how they can do that. So we'll find out this afternoon.
Absolutely. We'll be there.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner King and I spoke with Jim Allison at the tax deal up in College Station when we were up here recently, and he said he would be happy to review the subdivision regulations and see if we need to. He said he could give us a Chevrolet version or a Cadillac version, whichever one we want.
You want the Cadillac?
He knows his stuff. He's a good guy. I mean, he knows us when it comes to law, yeah.
I've talked to Mr. Bass that works with Mr. Allison as well. I called him and looked at our subdivision regulations. We will have to pay a fee for them to come down and actually sit down with us for a couple of hours and just scrutinize our stuff. I think that'd be a good thing.
I think it'd be very prudent.
I think that would be a great idea and beneficial. I mean, that's a good investment. If it's paying for something like that, it would be a good investment.
So now I tease you about, okay, good, we'll take it out of your budget. See, you're just kind of slumped. It was just a joke.
So we're never gonna clean our AC vents.
Commissioners, just as a way of clarification, if you want to take the suggestion on this change, you might want to look at where it says it's required to have at least 2 means of ingress and egress within the subdivision. So that way, the issue that the ingress and egress has to be within as opposed to using another
I agree.
subdivision, and that would allow this, this revision to take place, but also address the concern that it has to be within the subdivision, so when they're planning.
And the concern right now is that this master plan has already been officially turned in, but if you see it as a way that the 2 egress, ingress have to be maintained within the subdivision, then that's another change that they would have to make. Because they do
You
show
want
it
to
stubbed
read
out right now.
Within the
Clarification,
new
that's
subdivision?
Each, correct?
Within the subdivision, so when.
Sorry?
That's 2 of each, 2 ingress, 2 egress.
No.
Okay, because I'm reading this, it could be
Like, no.
confusing, right?
Way in, way out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
One and
Because if
one.
you read it there, it's like, oh, well, that's 2 of ingress and 2 of egress.
Yeah, I know.
But what you're
Yes.
saying, Mr. Ron, is both of them must come off of basically 181, not going into Shannon Ridge
Right.
for this particular one.
Right.
Okay.
In order to assure that they're not gonna be using somebody else's, and then it's just gonna be,
Yeah, after the word egress, add within.
Within, yeah.
So when they're when they're submitting their plat, they have to show what they've done to meet this regulation.
So that would have to go back to TxDOT one more time, so they can review that again. Because TxDOT did, they haven't approved it, but, yeah, okay.
If that's something you want to address right now.
I think that would be a great thing to address right now, so we can move forward with that, because, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get slammed with development. We're not going to stop.
We definitely are.
So this development here is opening our eyes to a lot more of what we need to do to protect this county, I'll tell you that.
Not to mention, we're gonna start having industry move in here. We're already working on that, so that's gonna mean more homes too, so.
Absolutely. And there are a lot of subdivisions right now that they have been coming in. And we're trying to leave everybody informed. We did start a Facebook page. We're working on trying to get a dashboard so that people know what communities are coming in. But there is a lot of growth right now, and there are a lot of subdivisions being proposed.
Well, here's a question. 500 is a lot of homes. So somebody goes, okay, I'm gonna take and build a 450 home. I don't have to take and follow this. I mean, is it a low enough number?
Well, we don't know that yet, because like
Oh,
Shannon
yeah.
Ridge, they're just under 500. So, yeah. They're over 400, they're right below 500.
I get it. I bought at the end of a dead-end street, and then a developer bought the property behind me. And I have wonderful homes and wonderful neighbors that are past me, but if I had had my children in the growing up stage, and had to deal with that additional traffic right now, I'd be upset a lot more than I am about it was a dead-end street, so.
So, would you propose that I bring that number down from 500 to a lesser amount of homes before we need an ingress egress?
350 would be a lot of homes.
So,
I mean,
because we went from 1,000 to 500, you know, we were trying to bring it down. We just didn't know, you know.
That's a lot of homes.
we can, because we can do all that right here. It doesn't, I mean, right? It doesn't need to.
I think 100 homes is a lot of homes to have only one.
100 is.
I'm seeing that in these subdivisions that I've got that are one way in and
Yes, come on up, sir.
long roads in.
So just to put things in perspective, so trying to make it make sense. I live on a 1 mile long street with no, you know, Southwood Oaks. It's one road in, one road out. We have 33 properties on that street. So that's 1 mile and just one street. So that kind of put it in perspective. You know, 100 is not a lot, but when you get to, like, you go into Abrigo and you're looking at just under 500, and it was fine for that up to phase 1, but when you added phase 2 and phase 3, you know, and I drive these every day with my business, so I know how everything has expanded. And Shannon Ridge has always been bad. Bentwood, you know, as far back as they go. It's not just the number of homes, also the distance, because you get those bigger lots in some of these. But now all these developments that are coming in, they're going to be the smaller homes. People aren't looking for large acreage properties anymore. Now they're looking for those affordable, you know, 1 to 5 acre properties, or even in this case, they're trying to go even smaller to cram as many in as possible. But I would say, you know, somewhere between, you know, less than 500, but 100 is probably a good, at least a minimum to having extra. That's my thoughts.
And I know the fire chief is concerned about this as well.
Oh, yeah.
Getting in fire and EMS.
The width of the road, if they're proposing a dense lot subdivision, then we would like to extend the roads or make them wider just so that emergency trucks can go in, and if they need to turn around, they have somewhere to maneuver and turn around.
Well, be a great thing. I think we need to move that thing down to about 100.
I agree.
Okay, I'm going to entertain a motion on 16C1 that we, and with the amendment within the subdivision, also bring the number down from 500 to 100.
So I'll make a motion to the proposed regulation of a residential subdivision, including a master planned community that is or will be subdivided into 100 or more lots, or that potentially could expand into a subdivision of 100 or more lots through the master planning, is required to have at least 2 means of ingress and egress within the subdivision plat.
Motion made by Commissioner King, seconded by Commissioner Paradola. Is there any other discussion on 16C1? Hear none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, the ayes have it, motion passes.
If I could get your signature on this page to add to our regulations, I'll make the
You
changes
want to make the
to our-
correction on it? Okay.
I'll make the corrections, but I can get your signature right now, if that's okay.
Agenda item number 17, we have Mr. Raymond Herrera, our Veteran Service Officer, Wilson County VSO, second quarter strategic planning review.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. So I'm here to present our second strategic planning review for the quarter 2023-2024. Next slide, please. This slide right here, I'm keeping it on pretty much every time I come up for the simple fact that I might have a new viewer tuning in that might see this, and I hope I get to them in this way. So our mission, bridging the gap between military service members, veterans, and dependent benefits to maximize entitlements part of the services that I mainly deal with is going to be VA compensation and pension, appeals, survivors benefits, education, burial benefits, state and local entitlement advisement. So this is what I have left from last fiscal year. I still have 15 cases open, and I have 3 non-active. Non-active meaning I have done my part in advising them and waiting on them to come back to me so that way we can finalize the submission, which I still have 3 from last fiscal year. Constituents assisted by precinct, I'm just going to highlight it really for you. A total of 616 for the second quarter with 111%, or where we at? Last one. Growth from first to second quarter, 105% growth from last quarter to this quarter. And then forms, each person I see, we end up submitting some type of form, and we have a growth of 616 forms submitted within the second quarter and 111% growth from last quarter. Claims, all those forms end up with claims on each form. Sometimes it could be 1 claim, sometimes it can be 30, 40 claims. This can be education, compensation, so on and so forth. So a total of 1,421 with a 109% growth from last fiscal quarter. Next, I have a veteran here, Mr. Genaro Contreras. He is a resident at the Frank Tejeda home. And the reason why I asked him to be here today to give his testimony is because ever since this office has become mobile, I've been able to go to the veterans home, go to veterans resident homes as well as events, and help them file the same services that I do in the office, which prior, it was only a stationary office, and we were not able to reach many veterans, especially those vulnerable and in need at our veterans home.
Okay, good morning. My name is Genaro Contreras, and I spent 3 years in the U.S. Army, and I served a tour of duty in Vietnam. And I used to live in North Central San Antonio in my own home, but I had a slight accident, broke my leg, and my daughter decided she'd put me in Tejeda veterans home. And since I've been there, basically the Army gave me a 10% disability. And since we got Mr. Ray Herrera in there helping us, he managed to get me 80% disability, which there's no way I could have gotten it by myself without the help of your Commission on Veterans. Okay? And I thank you kindly for that.
Here, sir. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Mr. Contreras. I just want to also highlight really quick, the 80% is great. That was something good that we accomplished in collaboration with Mr. Levi Kep, who is the director there at the Veterans Home, as well as with Texas Veterans Commission. The biggest thing about assisting Mr. Contreras is he had to pay for services to even stay at the Veterans Home. It's not for free just because you're a veteran. So you got to pay unless you become a certain amount of percentage associated with a disability, and then at that point it becomes free of charge. So that is the biggest accomplishment I think we got with Mr. Contreras, is he now does not have to pay out of pocket for a Veterans Home services. Number of constituents by contact. So I have 2. The one on the left side is going to be resulted in action. What that means is when I sit down with a veteran or a constituent and I advise them on services and we end up submitting some type of claim, that's what I mean, result in action. Many times it's just advising them to prep them later so we can have a submission later. So I have both resulted in action and non. 284 resulted in action, 104% growth from first to second quarter. To the right, interactions from VetPro. VetPro is a database that I utilize. This is where I generate my applications and submit directly encrypted to the VA database. So we have 175 phone calls. Again, this is just for the second quarter. Emails, 107. In person, which would include the ones that resulted in action and non. 293, faxes 3, unspecified. This is an error in documentation where I might miss a drop-down box selection. So total of 580 contacts with a 26% growth from first to second quarter. So we have a new returning open and closed cases. First one is going to be new and returning. We have a total of 291. Okay, so that's 104% growth from first to second quarter. File status, meaning I've filed some claims and they're either I closed them because they've been adjudicated or they're still pending. So as of right now, I've closed 118 and 173 are still pending, waiting on decision. And as you know, the VA at times can take more than a year. Next slide, please. Next testimonial I have here is also just as important, is a surviving daughter, Mrs. Bonnie Walker, to share her testimony on behalf of her mother, Mrs. Lauren Mills. So I came in contact with Mrs. Walker for the first time, trying to seek just information on how can she help her father in his situation that he was in. Specifically, Mr. Marvin Mills, who is the veteran, we filed while he had a terminally ill diagnosis. So knowing that he did not have a lot of time, what type of services can we handle right now at this very time when we first met? And Mrs. Bonnie Walker, if you'd come up for a moment, please.
It's been a long time.
Has been.
Good morning, commissioners and judges and citizens of Wilson County. My name is Bonnie Mills Walker, and I am a super proud seventh-generation Texan and especially proud granddaughter of the late Novell and Robert Mills and daughter of the late Marvin Mills, all of Floresville, and our mom, Lauren Mills, who still resides here in Floresville. It's an honor that I stand before you today to address an issue of great importance, the vital need for a veteran service officer for this county. As we gather here in this historic courthouse, I'm reminded of the commitment and sacrifices made by men and women like my dad, who have bravely served our nation with honor. Wilson County, like many other counties across the state and nation, face a significant challenge when it comes to providing adequate support and assistance to our veterans. With the nearest VA services located in San Antonio, which you all know is, we wish, just a minimum 30-minute drive. Many of our veterans, particularly those who are elderly, are facing serious physical and mental hardships, find it incredibly difficult to access the care and benefits they deserve and have earned. Navigating the convoluted VA online system, if they even have the ability to access it, can be overwhelming and daunting, exacerbating the challenges that they already face. I personally stand here today not just as a concerned citizen, but as a grateful daughter. My father, Marvin, served his country in Vietnam in the late 60s, fighting to defend our freedoms, only to be failed by that very system he swore to protect. During his illness, the VA system as a whole let him down and let us as a family down. When I say they let us down, it actually is an understatement. Because of the lack of support and assistance from the VA system, we had to find out our dad was dying of stage 4 B-cell lymphoma caused by Agent Orange by me setting up a never-before-been-used online portal that he could have had access to for over 10 years. That is how I found the report that said metastatic disease. and I shared this news with my siblings and our mom. However, amidst the frustration and despair, one individual stood out as a beacon of hope and support. Ray Herrera, the Veteran Service Officer for Wilson County. Ray went above and beyond to assist our family during the hardest time of our lives, and we know we're lucky that with 8 generations, and now my granddaughter being our 9th generation Texan, that it's pretty good to have been, through Dad's 77 years, and this to be one of the hardest things we've been through. But it really was. And for Ray, his invaluable guidance and advocacy when it mattered the very most, and to take my dad in a matter of 3.5 weeks of constant emails and phone calls from 10% disability to 100%, that my dad only lived 15 days. His celebration of life was 1 month ago yesterday here. And while I and my siblings are eternally grateful to some specific medical care professionals, the need for localized support like Ray provided for my dad and our family, my dad via myself, cannot be overstated. The role of a veteran service officer is indispensable in ensuring that our veterans receive the care, benefits, and support they rightfully deserve, from processing those cumbersome forms that you were talking about, Ray, to navigating antiquated online systems. The challenges faced by our veterans are numerous and complex. For example, our mom received a denial letter addressed to our late dad stating that the system showed he did not have a spouse, while simultaneously receiving a letter addressed to her as his spouse. Nope, you can't make this up. Such errors are not only unacceptable, but they are deeply unsettling for these veterans and their spouses. And someone like Ray being at their disposal by a phone call or an office to stop by where they can turn the corner 2 blocks away and get to him is invaluable. We owe it as a community and as leaders to provide our veterans with the resources and support they need to survive and thrive. Maintaining a veteran service office for Wilson County is not just a matter of convenience, it's a moral obligation. We owe it to our veterans to ensure that they are not left to navigate the bureaucratic maze of the VA system alone. By providing localized support services, we can alleviate the burden on them and their families, ensuring that they receive the care and assistance they're entitled to. In closing, I urge this court to prioritize the preservation of this position and office for Wilson County. Our veterans have given so much to our nation, and it's our duty to ensure that they are cared for and supported in return. I ask that we stand together and reaffirm our commitment to honoring and serving those who have served us. Thank you, and God bless America.
One last thing I'd like to share with Mrs. Mills, Mrs. Walker's mother, is we're currently still fighting the process with her and receiving survivor's benefits. So, services don't just end with the veteran. It ends, past the veteran. Last but not least, return on investment for this office year to date. So on behalf, the Wilson County, on behalf of veterans, has been able to secure $614,540.85 on behalf of veterans. So this is a 428% growth from the first quarter to the second quarter. I think the word is getting out. There's an office that is now full-time, but as you can see, the growth is a lot. So year to date, we've exceeded our goal. I put budget, but it was our set goal for the fiscal year, which happened to be our budget of 551%. So goals, challenges, and vision moving forward. So one thing when I got here to Wilson County is I realized that there are so many amazing organizations, veteran organizations that are already here, but I didn't see them working or collaborating as much as I would like to see. So one thing, we just established the new Wilson County Veteran Coalition. So it is the main purpose of this coalition, just to collaborate, share, and support each other and their events that they are planning within Wilson County specifically. Next one is accurately document growth and services rendered and needed. So I think the need has always been here. I don't think I got here and it's all of a sudden it just increased. I think it's always been here. Just now investing the time and documenting the data for this to support the growth in the future is something I'm really trying to do. Continue branding, marketing the Veteran Service Department. As I said, I do believe the word is getting out now. I'm getting many calls and trying to juggle many hats all at one point, but it's still something that we can do. One thing I want to highlight is talking about events or marketing. We have an event coming up. I did bring it up in the last Veterans Breakfast. I didn't want to talk too much about it because it was still more in the planning phases, but I think a little bit more comfortable sharing that we are having the Wilson County Veterans Barbecue Throwdown. Essentially, we're going to have branches of service cooking teams kind of battling off on the grill, as well as we're going to have veteran services like every veterans event. The biggest difference is not just the barbecue itself, but we're also hopefully going to have a pop-up market, and we're going to have things for children. So we want to make this event more family-oriented as to in the past only for veterans mainly, which we're still going to do those as well. Maybe once a year we're trying to host something a little bit bigger and more family-oriented and friendly. Challenges, canceled, rescheduled appointments. So this is more than last quarter, but in the same token, we're having way more influx of veterans that we're serving. So we have 32 who were canceled or rescheduled. I typically don't get a notification until maybe about a week in advance. Sometimes I'll fill that gap in, and then sometimes it's just short notice, or they just don't show up at all. Limited manpower and effectiveness, just juggling, different parts of the office itself, can be challenging. So I hope in the future that's something we can address. That way, veterans are not waiting a month and a half to have a scheduled appointment with myself, which we still make it happen. So that goes along with the limited time. One last thing I just want to share is I've been asked the question actually multiple times is, why do we need a veteran service office? Why do we need a veteran service officer? And many times I take a step back because to think that many veterans serving overseas or in country is, they sign up for something, or in other cases they were drafted, they didn't really have a choice, right? And they're left with the duty to fill whether they decided or not. So whether they did 4 years or a 36-year, 40-year retiree, they did their duty. So I just want to leave you on, I guess, the answer for that question. It's simply just our duty to take care of those that did their duty to protect ourselves and our lives and our freedom. So any questions?
Ray, you're always doing good work, brother. Keep it up. You're not going anywhere, by the way. I don't know what that veil message was over there, but you're not going anywhere.
She's amazing with her words. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Agenda item number 18, Ms. Christina Moser, County Treasurer, discuss take action on the County Treasurer's financial report.
Good morning. In your binder, you will see for the month of February. So again, as the report shows, you'll see the checking accounts, what we have debited out, what's been credited to the account with the ending balance. Then following that is our CDs that we have. Following the next page is all of our investments. You'll see those accounts, as well as the any withdrawals, any contributions. Basically, with this month, it was more of your interest that was earned, and as well as some, let's see, was there any contributions due to this one? I don't believe so. for this month. So you'll see the interest. It's still going strong and high. And then as well as our outstanding debt and lease purchases on the next page. And then ending with just overall what's called our treasurer's monthly report, listing all the funds and their beginning and ending balances with debits and credits listed as a whole for the month of February. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Christina, did the
Ma'am.
February recon balance to the general ledger?
Yes, yes, ma'am, it did. I like to get to the very end and see that zero. That's a happy day. No issues.
See, we're still doing pretty good on interest on.
We are. It is dropping. You will see it looking back at past reports, but it's very small. So it's still obviously in 5%, but before it would have been 5.49, now it's 5.48. So small percentage every month decrease, but not too bad. As long as it stays in the 5 for a while, we'll be happy to take it.
All right, Commissioners, will entertain a motion to accept Treasurer's financial report.
Motion that we accept the report from the county treasurer.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Akins, seconded by Commissioner Paradola. Is there any other discussion on agenda item number 18?
Thank you. I will also have.
Thank you, ma'am. Having here no objections, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, motion passes. Agenda item number 19, we have Ms. Jaylynn Bodiford, our Human Resource Specialist, presentation of payroll and personnel changes.
Good morning. I only have one for today. Jennifer Holman was hired as a tax customer service specialist, making $15.39 per hour or $32,000 annually, effective March 11th, 2024.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Agenda item number 20, we have Ms. Brenda Trevino, our county auditor, discuss take action on county bills.
Okay, these were emailed, and I've reviewed and approved these bills here, not including the invoice to Broadus. Not including is a total of $278,651.10. I am going to ask you to include the invoice for $13,047.50, so that I can go ahead and wrap that up. And I did make that modification on the last page, so you'll see a new total. So the new total to include the Broadus invoice would be $291,698.60. And once y'all vote on that, then I'll change it on here for your
You want me to do it now?
Yeah, sure.
9160?
698.
Okay.
291, 698.
Yeah.
same day that he took office. Heard him on the radio. I'm impressed that he took the bull by the horns. Reason I asked him, I noticed there was gas on the Constable 3. I'm like, well, he must be doing something.
All right, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion to accept the, take action on the county bills.
I'll make a motion to accept the county bills for $291,698.60.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner, that was a good tie there. I'll have to replay it and see who did it. I'm going to give it to Commissioner Perodolo. Motion made by Commissioner King, seconded by Commissioner Perodolo regarding agenda item number 20 on taking action on county bills. Do we have any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Agenda item number 21, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Can I add something real quick?
Sure,
Judge?
go ahead. Mhm.
So, real quick, just so the public knows, May 4th, 2024, 8 to noon, we'll have a Wilson County Expo Center, or at the Wilson County Expo Center, we have the San Antonio River Authority Wilson County Collection event this year. So once again, May 4th, from 8 a.m. to noon, and we'll go in more discussion as it gets closer, what you can and can't bring. So, but this is on the websites as well.
John, do you need to unload some old computer equipment that we need to get out? They do.
They do.
They do.
It's on the list. Yes,
Yes.
I believe so. It's just check the list. It's.
I'll send this to you, John.
Yeah, and I'll get, you want to get with Simon and his crew, we'll take the trailer and load it up.
Who is in charge of this one?
I'm going to assume it's precinct 4.
It's on 4.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Motion's been made. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? We are adjourned. It is 11:28 a.m.